What do you see when you look at me? Green eyes, glasses, Converse. For a while, all I saw was this. Colorless white spots against a tan background. I didn't always look like this. It started when I was younger, on my elbows and knees. Little islands of white would pop up on my skin. Slowly, webs would stretch to connect the dots. All of them eventually coming together to cover my skin in white, blotchy patches. I didn't really notice it or care until people started asking questions about it. Is it contagious? Is your skin dying? Do you have herpes? Yeah, people ask some pretty stupid questions. My confidence began to plummet. I went from wearing shorts every day to wearing jackets and pants. I didn't want people to ask questions or view me different, so I thought the best thing to do was cover up. But then something kind of cool happened. People started talking about vitiligo in a positive way, and a lot of that was because of Winnie Harlow. Winnie was a model on America's Next Top Model, and she's worked with huge brands like Marc Jacobs, Nike, and Puma. And at this point, you're probably realizing, yes, there's something that we have in common.
One thing about me connects millions of people around the world, and that is something I think you can probably see. It's my skin condition. It's called vitiligo.
But Winnie felt differently about hers. Seeing her confidence and the way she embraced what made her unique made me question a few things, like, why am I embarrassed of my vitiligo? While I don't know the answer to that, I do know that most fear comes from a misunderstanding or not knowing. So let's jump into what vitiligo is.
I'm going to need some visuals to explain this one, so bear with me. Google defines it as a chronic, long-lasting autoimmune disorder that causes patches of skin to lose color or pigment. Our bodies have these things called melanocytes, which are essentially just factories that produce melanin, the thing responsible for our skin having color. When a person has an autoimmune disorder, their cells will attack each other and die off. This means that the factories that produce my melanin break down and eventually stop working. No production of melanin means no skin color, so I'm left with these white patches all over my body.
Once I understood what vitiligo was and what was going on in my body, there was a bit of a shift. I would definitely be lying if I didn't mention another factor in this story, though. That factor has a name, and it's Abby. She's my wife, best friend, partner on the dance floor, and fellow Chapel Roan superfan. Aside from being the best thing that's ever happened to me, Abby is kind, and she would always use that kindness to encourage me to be proud of how I look. Where I viewed my skin as something to be fixed, Abby viewed it as something beautiful, and each time she mentioned it, she broke down a layer of the wall I had built up until finally I started to believe her. So where does that leave me? Well, I'm not going to pretend that having colorless skin patches is a super hard life struggle when I know there are people out there that deal with way, way worse. But I will say that it's taught me that learning to not care about people's opinions will go a long way for how I view myself. And that it's important to have people in our corner who encourage us and help us embrace the things that make us different. I would say, after 22 years, almost 23, I am finally comfortable in my own skin. Toodles.